Well, yes, in light of the resignation of Robert Mugabe, we do have some Zimbabweans who've been living here in Uganda just to pick their minds on today's events actually have been unfolding for the last couple of days. I'm joined by Elton Mutize. Good evening and welcome to NTV tonight.
Good evening, Flavia. Thank you for having me.
And I also have Edmond Chiviru.
Good evening, Flavia.
You have smiles on your faces.
It's one of those days where you celebrate. This is freedom for the people.
Did you ever dream of this day?
If I say I dreamt about it, I'll be lying. This has been orchestrated by, this is God.
Okay.
It's divine, the mood is celebratory. I didn't expect it.
Edmund, 37 years later, the way the events have unfolded, because we would think after 37 years it would take the force in its entirety to actually take him out of power, and it's a resignation. Is it sort of like an anticlimax?
I agree with you. We are so much excited. This day came as a surprise. If you look at how the events have just unfolded themselves in the past 1 week, everyone was like uncertain of the next step, what's happening next, what's happening next. But 2 weeks ago, we knew the situation was dire, it was tough, it was difficult, and all of us were struggling to make sure we live to the next day. But this God is opened for us.
Okay.
And
yes.
we do give credit to our military.
Yes.
To have gone this, they've set a precedent which is not anywhere in the world. Who would expect the thing to go violent, to go bloody,
especially when the military is involved.
Especially when the military is involved and they are in control of every weapon in the country, every armory, they are in charge. And especially also when the president was digging in and resisting all their moves to say, can you resign, can you give in, can you... He's holding his ground. Paint
this picture for me, because I'm Ugandan, so I'm looking from outside in, and I'm wondering how, even if I saw tweets from Zimbabweans, they were protecting the image of President Mugabe. They weren't necessarily saying the worst of the worst about him online. They were protecting and saying that the outside world should be quiet about Zimbabwe's world. It should be quiet about our process. Let us have our process in peace. What is it so special about this man that you had to protect him in this way?
Why is why is the entire world watching Zimbabwe right now? He is one of the most brilliant minds politically. His ascension to power is incredible, and he held the country of intelligent people for 37 years. He has done some good, but I think there's always a problem when you fail to lead your people and listen to your people. It was an issue of closed minds. Right now, people are happy for one thing, that there's possibility now.
Yeah. So, yes.
Yeah, I can just add on. While we are celebrating that he has resigned and we are going through some economic hardships, we will not forget the contribution he has made to the liberation of the country, and especially in the area of education. Despite all these years of economic turmoil, Zimbabwe remains the most literate country in Africa, and we are probably number 2 or 3rd in the world because of his initiative, his input into education.
So it was a celebration of that to still, I mean, that's commendable. You can't really discuss Robert Mugabe without discussing Grace Mugabe. I mean, everyone is saying that aside, let's now see what's going on with this. What irks Zimbabweans about Grace Mugabe?
Grace Mugabe has lived in total ignorance about what's happening on the ground. They call her Gucci Grace. She goes to Harrods, she gets the shop closed, she lives in opulence. You saw the blue roof house circulating on the internet. She loves class. And that was a lot of, it was a bit insensitive to the people of Zimbabwe who could not withdraw more than $100 on their ATM per week. The things were difficult. There's no currency to talk about. So people are looking for opportunity. And you see someone buying a Rolls Royce. And you see somebody arguing about a 1 million diamond ring. So that was a bit insensitive to the people of Zimbabwe. So that is what irks people in Zimbabwe.
And we also think actually this, in a way, was precipitated by Grace's appetite for power.
Yeah, you said no, not this one.
Not this one.
What do we see in the coming, before I wind up, I mean, what are we expecting in the next couple of days? Because even weeks and months and years, I mean, people have said, are you sure? Yes, you want Robert Mugabe out of power, but do you know what is next? Have Zimbabweans looked further, or they just care to have this day and enjoy it?
Where we are today, we are so happy that we've come to an end of an era, which marks the beginning of another one. Even those who are going to take over from Mugabe, they have seen the united power of a population that is speaking with the same voice from the events of this past week. So their roadmap is kind of outlined. they know they have to toe a line which builds the unity of everybody to continue, instead of coming up with divisive tactics, because they will not last long. No. People have also tested the power that, hey, we have the capacity to put pressure on a head of state to resign. Yes. So they will also be having a private mark sheet, say, those ones who are coming in, are they doing what we expect? If they go out of the line, they are kicked out.
Hold them accountable.
Hold them accountable, kick them out, look for another person to take over.
A few years from today, when we look back on this day, Zimbabwe and the rest of Africa, what do you think the legacy of not just Mugabe, maybe even Zimbabwe as a country, as an example to Africa, will be?
I think Zimbabwe, what is irking in Zimbabweans' hearts right now is possibility has been unlocked. Now,
yes.
Strive Masiwa can go back to Zimbabwe. Business people who are in South Africa can go back to Zimbabwe. The child who's graduating from university can now hope to get a job because industries can be kick-started. Universities can gain their opulence again. So it's open door policy. Flavia, I've never been to Zimbabwe, but it's one of the best places to be in Africa. So hopefully one day now Zimbabwe, Uganda opportunities will be unlocked. So it's good for everyone. I see the youth taking charge of their future and building institutions around that.
Yes, Edmund.
I also see that going forward, Zimbabwe is probably leading Africa in terms of a skilled human resource base. The pool is wide. If we pull all our brothers and sisters who have gone to the different parts of the world together and bring them back home, it will not take us 3 years before we claim our position as the breadbasket of Africa.
Very optimistic.
Very optimistic.
Very, very optimistic. You're still watching NTV